Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, I'm Jane. My husband Mike is behind the camera. We are early retirees, British, debt and mortgage free, and living a thrifty and frugal life here in France. And every Wednesday we invite you in for a midweek money chat. So let's have a look at what we're going to talk about this week. Now, if you've been here before, you know I like to be reflective. I like to look at things on balance. And on balance at the moment, the only thing that I can say is everything costs more than before. Wages have not gone up. And in some countries, there are some services, and mostly energy and fuel and heating our homes or cooling your homes is extraordinarily expensive. It's more than doubled in price. In places like the UK, energy has suddenly become 3 times the price it was previously. And families are in a state of absolute shock. And it's really a difficult feeling of what we're going to do about it. And food prices are an absolute shock. They're not creeping up by a couple of cents or a couple of pennies. You're going into the supermarket and some things are doubling in price. So it's a really, really difficult time at the moment, and it is causing massive money worries. And the second part of that I'm going to talk about today about spreading the costs. And there are things that we can do a little bit at a time. We can't do all of these things all at once, but we can do a little bit at a time to spread the costs to make things easier. Now, you know, if you watch my budgeting videos, I talk about sinking funds and saving for things. But if you are absolutely new to this game and all of a sudden you're just looking for ways and methods and means of saving money, hopefully some of the things that I share here today, and I'd like you to share too in the comments, can help all of us in little bits, in little ways, over the upcoming months. So let's get started. We're having an extraordinarily hot summer here in Northern Europe, and even people in the UK are experiencing crazy heat. So it's a bit weird, but I'm going to start talking about heating our house for winter and how we can spread the costs and make things easier for ourselves a little bit at a time each month. Maybe when you get paid, or maybe when you get your pension each month. But it's times to think about it now. The worst of the winter for us here in Northern Europe and in the UK is January and February. So it gives you 6 months run up to get there. And I'm just going to run through things as quickly as possible. And please, if I miss anything, please leave a comment below of anything I might have missed, of things that we can start to do now. And yes, it involves buying some things, but like I said, this is about spreading the costs. Let's get started about how we can do this. Okay, in our homes here in France and in the UK, there are people who just cannot afford under any circumstances to heat their entire home. So they're looking at zone heating only. So if you are in a situation where you do not have a wood burner, you are going to look into buying something like oil-filled plug-in radiators. You can set them very low and you can put them on what we call tick over, so on a low setting, just to keep the chill off the place. Now is the time to be looking out for those Facebook Marketplace, the back of charity shops, in second-hand shops in the UK, like Once, for example. Look out for these. They've usually been tested in second-hand shops and charity shops, so you don't need to worry about that. This is the time now, each month, to be looking at things like buy a heated throw to keep on the sofa, because you're only keeping the house on tick over, remember. Now is the time to buy heated blankets for your bed. Now is the time each month to be looking into buying a thicker duvet, buying warmer clothes, buying fleece clothes as much as possible. And a great idea, if you already have, for example, an old fleece blanket at home, is cut it into scarves for the entire family. If you wanted to, you could sit there of an evening and put a blanket stitch around the end, or use your sewing machine to put a zigzag stitch. It doesn't fray a lot though, and it's a nice thing to have for everybody to have a fleece scarf. That's just the first part of it. Like I said, if I miss anything, please put a comment below. But depending on where you live and the energy company that you buy your gas or electricity from, or even your oil, or even your gas for your tank in the garden, you can sometimes spread the cost. You can in the UK, for example, and here in France, contact your energy company. So I'm with EDF, other people with different energy companies, and I can contact them and say, I want to increase my monthly payment. So I want to put myself into credit. So check out with that. Can you do that? Is that something? Can you increase that by a certain amount? Here in France, people like us who heat our house with wood, now is the time to buy it. If you've got an oil company or a gas company, contact them. Can you order more of it now? Can you pay for it now? Leave me a comment below, everybody. Can you pay on the price now in advance? I don't have central heating, so I don't have an oil tank or a gas tank, but let me know in the comments below. Can you pay for that in advance? Can you pay for it now, for example, before the price may go up again? I'm interested to know that. Don't forget, leave a comment on that below. Also leave me a comment below if you're already overpaying on your gas and electricity bill. Lots of people in the UK have the electricity and gas supplied by the same company, and they are overpaying now to build up a credit. Or if you pay in one lump, are you building up a savings fund to pay for this? So that's another thing. If there's anything I've missed out on that, please come on, leave a comment below. The next thing I'm going to talk about, and it's a weird one to spread the cost of, but bear with, is laundry. Now, yes, of course, we can start buying more laundry liquid. We can start buying more laundry softener or white vinegar if that's what you use, and you can put that away because that's increasing in price too. But prepare now for the fact that energy prices could be so high you may not be able to afford to use your tumble dryer this coming winter. Now, winters here in northern France and in the UK are months and months and months of continuous rain with a few days here and there of dryness. So there are things that you can look out for. Again, they might be on offer. You might see them in the supermarket. If you live in the UK, shops like Wilko's, B&M. If you live here in France, shops like Action or in your local supermarket, is to look out for a stand that you can dry your clothes on indoors. And I know people don't think that's ideal, and I appreciate your opinions on that, but for some people it may be their only option. And if it is your only option, there is something that you can look out for. And you may find one again in a second-hand shop or on Marketplace or anywhere, and it's a dehumidifier. They do not use much electricity. They are very low cost to run, but they're a very important thing to have if you live in the UK or here in the northern part of France, because it gets very, very damp in the winter, and it feels like it gets into your clothes and it gets into your furniture, especially if you can't heat your house very much. So that's a really important thing to look out for. You can also, not just the clothes stand. In the UK we've got a funny word for it, we call it a clothes horse. But you can find them and that you can plug them in, and again, they use very, very little electricity, and they will help you to use that. Another thing to start researching now, and if you look at this in the supermarket, look out for the laundry liquids that say you can wash at 20 degrees. I know people in other countries like Australia and America, if you have a top loading washing machine, they are often designed to wash with cold water, and your laundry detergent is designed for washing in cold water. But our small washing machines here in Europe, they use very, very little water, and they are designed to run on warm water, either 20 degrees, 30 degrees or 40 degrees. So look out for the laundry liquid that says you can use it at 20 degrees. So think about that, be prepared for that. How are you going to dry your laundry in the winter when your energy bills are doubled or tripled? How are you going to cope with that? Start spreading the cost of that now. So in our homes, we know the massive costs are heating our homes. The next massive cost in our home, we do it every single day, is cooking. And that's why people living in absolute poverty here in Europe, here in France and in the UK, when they're going to food banks, they're literally looking for food that doesn't need any cooking at all because they cannot afford to cook their food. So if we're in circumstances where we are really going to have to start preparing now for how are we going to cook our food, and you're thinking that, well, how can I spread the cost of that? There are things that you can look out for, and these are often in second-hand shops. They are often in charity shops, and look out for them now. Please look out for a slow cooker if you haven't got one. If you have the means to buy one, it is something that you can spread the cost of and buy that now. Don't wait until winter because everybody will be rushing out and buying them. Things like an air fryer. You can use an air fryer instead of using your oven. You can pop, obviously we know things like putting fries in it and chips in it and meat in it and small cakes in it as well, sausage rolls in it. Those things that you can cook in an air fryer, using your Instant Pot more. So those are the things that you can look out for now, and those are the things that you can spread out the cost of. Because things like Instant Pots and air fryers, there's always a new one coming out. People are always selling the older ones. They are a different model maybe, but they work fine. And anything you can do to use your hob less or your oven less or your kettle less will really, really help the cost, because it's a massive expense cooking your food. So therefore you can look out for these things now, spread the cost of it in the run up to winter, which will come around eventually. Now we know that we're getting younger and younger people watching this and following us on our Facebook page, and they share their real difficulties are the rising costs of looking after their children. And there are things that we can do as parents, that we did as parents, that they do as parents, that can spread the costs. Because as winter comes along, we all know that they're going to go back to school, they're going to need winter coats, and so on and so forth. So look out for those things now. School term is ending. It ends any day now. Put out a shout. So let's say your children are going off to Smith Academy. Put a shout out on your community groups. Wanted Smith Academy school uniform for a boy aged 13, a girl aged 10 or whatever. Put that shout out now. Start swapping school uniform with friends. Start passing it on, please, if you can do that. Sell it, please. Sell that school uniform if your children have grown out of it. And it's not just school uniform. They grow out of their shoes really quickly. Please give them a clean. Put some shoe polish on them and pop them down to the local charity shop. There are people who are going to be in desperate need of that. But there are things that you can look out for, and I know parents do this all the time, to be on the lookout for the next size up of clothing, the next size up of warm pajamas, slippers, dressing gowns, those things that you know they're going to need in the winter. Get your children a heated throw or under blanket for their beds as well. Look out for things now that you can buy a little bit each week or each month. For example, hot water bottles or flasks so they can take a warm drink to them to school, for example. those things that you can buy a little bit at a time. So it's kind of like a savings fund where you're just putting that little bit aside, but those things that you may not have, that you haven't needed to use, that you can put aside. Please, parents watching, if there's anything that you can think of that I've missed, please leave a comment below. The obvious things are toys, the next toy that they might need, and in turn, the things that they have grown out of. If you don't need them, please sell them. Somebody's going to be glad of buying them at that second-hand price. And if you don't need the money, which you may not, please pass them on. And at the moment, we've not just got food banks, we've got clothing banks, we've got toy banks, and we've got baby banks as well. So any of those items that you don't need, somebody really desperately does need them. If you can sell them secondhand, please do. And if you can pass them on. Like I said previously, if there's anything I've missed below of the way that people can prepare themselves for the upcoming costs, please leave us a comment below. Like I said at the beginning, I'm British, so I've got quite a British perspective on these things, and I live in France, so I've got a bit of both perspectives there. And lots of us live in really quite small houses, so the next part I'm going to talk about might be a bit difficult for some of you. But if you can buy a little bit more food, long life, shelf stable food that you can put away a little bit each week. Now here's an example of something that we're doing. We have a €70 a week budget for all food, all drink, all toiletries and all cleaning products. And what I'm currently doing at the moment is every single week I buy completely €70 worth. And I'm in that week, each time, I'm trying to put away 10%. So about €7 worth I'm putting away into longer term food storage. So I'm buying more pasta, more rice. Cleaning products don't go off. Shower gel, soap, deodorant, those things don't go off, do they? If you have a family and you know what they need, you can buy a little bit and put it away each week. Now I know some of us don't have big freezers, we have tiny freezers. UK freezers here in France are about the size of a suitcase. It's not like we can go out and buy half a cow and put it away. It's just not possible for us to do that. But we can go and buy protein in tins. That is something that we can all do. So we can buy pilchards, we can buy sardines, we can buy tuna, we can buy tinned ham or tinned meat. And if it's something your family eats, and you can go and put that away. Other things that you can buy to store as well, especially if you've got children, are fruit juices, orange juice, fruit cordials, we call it orange squash. Things that you can do for yourself to put away. Jam, sugar, tea, coffee, all of those things that you can buy a little bit more and store it. As I said earlier, if there's anything that I've forgotten or I haven't mentioned or you think is useful, please leave it in the comments below of food items that you can buy a little bit at a time to prepare for those money worries and rising prices. Leave us a comment below. As we always say, we hope that you found that interesting or you found that useful. And we love it when you comment. And this week, we really do ask you to share your thoughts and opinions on what can we all do to spread the costs. Is there anything that I missed about keeping your house warm on a very limited budget? On getting a food supply on a very limited budget? Is there anything that I missed about things that you can spread the costs of with your children? Things are extraordinarily expensive at the moment. We can all but do our best under the circumstances. So please, we'd love to hear from you and share your comments below. If you found this video interesting or useful, go on, hit that like button. It just leaves me to say, on behalf of Mike and I, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now.
This is Mary.